Nobody told them to do that. Nobody announced that someone important had arrived, but the room felt it anyway. Here's what most people get wrong about intimidation. They think it requires effort, volume, aggression. It doesn't. Some of the most quietly intimidating people in any room aren't doing anything at all, and the traits making others tense around you, they're probably your greatest strengths. To understand why some people unintentionally intimidate others, you need to understand a core principle of social psychology called status signaling. Humans are wired, from an evolutionary standpoint, to rapidly assess the social rank of everyone they encounter. This assessment happens in the first few seconds of interaction, largely unconsciously, and it shapes every behavior that follows. Posture, eye contact, speech patterns, emotional expressiveness, how someone handles silence. All of these are status cues the brain reads automatically. When someone registers as high status, whether they intend to or not, the people around them activate what psychologists call the threat-appraisal system. Not because the person is dangerous, but because high-status individuals historically controlled resources, set standards, and influenced outcomes. Being near them required calibration. That ancient wiring hasn't changed. What's changed is the context. And so in a modern office, a social gathering, a family dinner, some people trigger that same threat appraisal response simply by being who they are. Not because they're trying to. Because the brain of the person across from them doesn't know the difference between a social threat and a genuinely powerful presence. Sign 1. You don't fill silence. While others rush to fill every pause with noise, you wait. You think before you speak. To you, it's just processing. To them, it reads as evaluation, as though your silence is a verdict being written about them. In a world addicted to instant response, your stillness is rare, and to insecure people, quietly terrifying. Sign 2. Your standards are visible. You ask precise questions. You notice what others miss. You push for clarity, where most people let vagueness slide. You're not criticizing anyone, but your presence alone makes average effort feel insufficient. And people who sense that gap between their output and yours don't always respond with motivation. Sometimes they respond with avoidance. Sign 3. Your emotions are proportionate. You don't perform enthusiasm you don't feel. You don't panic visibly. You don't fill silence with laughter just to soften the room. Neuroscience calls this emotional regulation, a mark of a well-calibrated nervous system. But people who can't read your emotional state feel destabilized. They mistake composure for coldness. It's almost never that. Sign 4. You don't seek validation. You state opinions without hedging them into questions. You make decisions without waiting for the room's approval. Psychologists call this an internal locus of control, and it's one of the strongest predictors of psychological resilience. But it unnerves people who rely on social reciprocity. When you don't need their reassurance, they lose leverage they didn't know they were using, and people tend to pull back from what they can't influence. Sign 5. You're direct. No preamble. No performance of consideration. You say what you mean. In a culture trained toward over-politeness and careful implication, directness can land like confrontation, even when it's simply clarity. The absence of softening, to many people, signals something is wrong. It usually signals the opposite. Sign 6. You don't over-explain yourself. You decide. You act. You don't follow it with paragraphs of justification seeking approval. When you don't provide the explanation people are waiting for, they fill the gap with imagination. And imagination, under uncertainty, almost always produces something more threatening than the truth. Sign 7. You remember everything. Details. Follow-ups. Things people said months ago, in passing, assuming no one was listening. To some, this is attentiveness, the sign of someone who genuinely listens. To others, it signals something more unsettling, that you are paying closer attention than they realized. Being truly seen is, for many people, quietly terrifying. Here's what this actually costs you. Colleagues who don't bring problems until they're already crises. Friends who self-edit instead of opening up. Connections that never happen because someone talked themselves out of approaching. And over time, you might misread all of that distance as rejection. You might start shrinking, softening strengths that never needed softening, performing warmth you don't feel to make others comfortable. Psychologists call this self-concealment, and the research is clear. It doesn't close the gap. It just makes you less yourself, for an audience that still keeps its distance. You don't need to shrink. You need to become more legible. 1. Offer access. A single genuine question, curious, not performative, can dissolve months of perceived distance. Research on relational transparency shows that even minor self-disclosure makes high-status individuals dramatically more approachable. 2. Name your silences. "I'm thinking" is 2 words. It converts unsettling stillness into visible process, and suddenly, you're with them instead of above them. 3. Lower the cost of imperfection around you. Acknowledge effort, not just results. You're not lowering your standards. You're signaling that the attempt has value. The goal isn't to change who you are. It's to make who you are easier to walk toward. The qualities that intimidate others aren't flaws. They're frequency differences. Most people haven't met someone operating at your level of self-possession, and the unfamiliar, even when it's good, can feel like threat. So ask yourself this: are the people around you keeping their distance because of who you are, or because they haven't yet found the door in? If this resonated, our video on why highly self-aware people often struggle most with connection goes even deeper. It's right here. Subscribe if you want to keep thinking like this. We go here every week.